I'm Mick Garris, and this is Trailers from Hell. And our trailer this time around is for a film that Cinefantastique proclaimed rather over the top as the Citizen Kane of horror films. It's a really great, intelligent movie. Citizen Kane, not so sure.
I could a tale unfold whose lightest word would harrow up thy soul.
This is a really fascinating and literate horror film that stands the test of time. The screenwriter, Anthony Shaffer, was a very successful playwright. He scripted Sleuth from his own clever and hugely successful play. He wrote Frenzy for Alfred Hitchcock, and he was the twin brother of the equally successful writer Peter Shaffer, who's probably best known for his play and films Equus and Amadeus. This was originally going to be adapted from a novel called Ritual by David Pinner, but when Shaffer found himself immersing himself in the story, he really started to turn it into something more original and unique that was all of his own. The astounding thing about this trailer, though, is that it doesn't even show co-star Christopher Lee, easily the film's biggest drawing card. Presumably that was because they didn't want it embraced merely as a horror film, I guess. I don't know, but it seems to be the most commercial aspect of a very unusual film. I was living in San Diego when Warner Brothers decided to test market it there. All I knew was that a new Christopher Lee movie was opening, and of course went out of my way to see it. I had no idea that it was not opening around the country until years later when Cinefantastique rediscovered it and heaped tons and tons of praise on it. And the full print, which happened to be owned by Joe Dante, was screened at the Gordon Theater in Hollywood, and that's where I saw it the second time, with sequences that had been cut out in the initial Warner Brothers test release. So Edward Woodward plays a devout Catholic who's horrified to learn that an island community off the coast of the UK is practicing paganism. It's an outrageous conceit, and one that involves religious fanaticism, heaps of sex, and ritual sacrifice for the good of the farm crop yields. I had Christopher Lee as a guest on my old Z Channel show, Fantasy Film Festival, in the late 70s, and he was obviously quite enamored of the film himself, and it was his favorite role at the time, and one that he would go on and on about endlessly.